Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really excited about this webinar. First off, it is the first one for me of the new year, which is always exciting. But the second thing is when I was first getting introduced to Microsoft Teams, this is the content I wish I had to help me get introduced and understand what are some of the basic features, but what are some of the advanced capabilities that will really help me understand better what Microsoft Teams is and how I can use it to boost my productivity and my team's productivity. So I'm really looking forward to walking you through some of these pieces today. And I really hope that everyone is able to take at least one trick from this webinar that takes your day-to-day experience to the next level. My name is Brian Feldman. I'm a senior product manager at Atlassian, where I work on our Help product. Help is a lightweight conversational ticketing system. If you're not familiar with ticketing systems, we'll talk more about that a little later on. But the really important thing to understand is Help fundamentally sits as a native application that is integrated deeply into various chat platforms, such as Microsoft Teams, such as Slack. And what we spend a lot of time trying to understand is how various teams use these tools and what are the various pain points or frictions in their day-to-day operations and work processes inside of those tools, and therefore how can we provide them with an app experience that just feels super seamless and helps them really find a flow in their day. So since launching our Help for Teams app a little over a year ago, we've spoken with hundreds of our customers. And what's actually interesting is one of the most common questions that we get is, how can we use Microsoft Teams? Whether a team is brand new to Teams or whether they've adopted a little while ago, people are always curious in understanding some best practices, some tips and tricks, and what features they should look out for when using Microsoft Teams. Everyone's always trying to squeeze more productivity out of their day-to-day, and that's what we're going to focus on for you all today. So what we're going to cover is first three essential elements. I'm going to introduce these three elements and provide some insights into how they can be used and present some quick life hacks, if you will, on things that can really boost your productivity when using these elements. Next, we're going to look at apps. Apps inside of Microsoft Teams are almost like superpowers. We're going to look at some apps and we're going to look back at those three essential elements and see how the apps actually take each of those even further to the next level. After that, we have a special guest. We're going to check in with one of our customers, Daniel Akinola. He's part of the DevOps team over at Edge Next, where they have adopted Microsoft Teams and they use Help inside of it as well. And we're going to learn his story. What was it like for them to build out additional processes and kind of set up this new working culture inside of Microsoft Teams, and see what tips and tricks he might have for us as well. And lastly, we'll be sure to have some time for some live Q&A. All right, let's dive into it. So some of these items, depending on how new or familiar you already are with Microsoft Teams, you might already know about some of these, but as we go, we'll start introducing some more advanced capabilities. The first one up is called Message Actions. Message Actions exists anywhere where conversations are taking place inside of Microsoft Teams. So this could be in a direct one-to-one, one-on-one chat. It could be in a group chat. It could be within a team channel context, where essentially you can hover over a message and take a series of quick actions upon that message. So we'll look at some of those message actions in a bit. The second key element is cards. Now, in certain places throughout Microsoft Teams, a message might actually present itself as a card. Now, a card is what Microsoft calls this underlying component where you have a message that actually has this really robust functionality baked into it, where you can take some really powerful actions right on the message itself. So I'll explain a little bit more of that as we go through some of the demos. And then the last thing we're going to check out are some full page apps inside of Microsoft Teams. Now, a lot of folks who are new to Teams, when you're just adopting it, and this includes myself when I was new to Teams, I assumed that Microsoft Teams was just another chat platform, maybe chat with video conferencing mixed together. But in reality, it's a lot more than that. Now, I look at Microsoft Teams more as a collaborative platform where these full page application experiences can live right within your Microsoft Teams context, and third-party apps can even bring in full page apps of their own. So we're going to take a look at that and see where Teams can really become more than just chat. All right, so without further ado, let's dive right into it. So to make sure we're all starting at the same point, let's get ourselves oriented with some of the fundamental kind of navigational items inside of Microsoft Teams. So to start, over on this far left nav bar, this is where we can find various apps. Now, if you were to install Microsoft Teams today and it was your first day getting up and running, you're probably going to see most of these. These come out of the box. They're native applications that ship with Microsoft Teams. But I have also included an app of our own. In this case, I've installed the Help app and I've pinned it to this left sidebar. So that's a cool feature. You can go and pin various apps, and these are kind of like quick accessibility buttons here where you can jump into these different apps. Now, depending on the app you're in this case, I'm in the chat app, you might also have a secondary navigation system, which will be right here. In this case, you can see I'm currently on my chat with Crash. Crash is one of my colleagues here, but from this section, I'd be able to jump across to other chats, group chats that I might have with other colleagues inside of Teams. And then as we move across over into this right space, the space over on the right, what you're usually going to find is more of the interactive canvas. So this is where you're going to compose messages. This is where you might be able to collaborate with other teammates on various docs or see your calendar. So usually the most interactive elements are going to start to appear further on the right side. The one last piece to keep an eye out for is up at the top. At the top, we're going to start seeing a series of these tabs that you'll be able to click into. And tabs are also sort of like apps, but apps that specifically live within a certain scope, within a certain context. So right now I am on the chat app, but specifically the chat between Crash and myself. So we'll take a little bit more deeper look at how different apps can present themselves inside of specific contexts as we go. But to get started, let's talk about those message actions. So first off, let's take a look at this chat. As you can see, Crash has been trying to get my attention for quite some time. I haven't been very responsive. That's my bad. It's not intentional. I don't mean to ignore Crash here. I just get distracted. I have messages coming in from every angle. I have emails, I have direct messages, I have phone calls, and now and then somebody will send me a message that might be important at the moment, but I get distracted, I look away, and I forget to come back to it. So one quick trick right off the bat is if I hover over this message, maybe I mean to get back to this one, and then I click on the three dots here, I can see a series of message actions. In this case, I'm going to mark this one as unread. And what you can see here after marking as unread, this purple bar is introduced, which shows that Teams is now assuming everything under that bar is new for me. I haven't read those items yet. You can see that my chat with Crash has become bolded again as if there's new items for me to look at. And the icon, the chat icon, has even reappeared. So what I can do now is jump across to other areas. I can go and get distracted, but I have this reminder here, which I can finally come back to, and it reminds me that I did have this unread message from Crash that I needed to get back to. So that's one little quick life hack. If you can't get to a message right away, go ahead, mark it as unread, and you can come back to it when you do have a chance in the future. Now, another message action you can take that is particularly helpful if the message is maybe more urgent or it's a really important to-do item that you definitely don't want to forget about, is you can save a message. So I've actually already saved this one. Let me go ahead and unsave it. And now if I click on the message actions expander again, so I have this save this message option, I'm going to go ahead and click that. I have now saved this message, but where does it go? Well, if I jump up to my avatar in the top right and I click on it, you can see right under my avatar here, there's this saved selector. I'm going to click on that, and you can see it's jumped me over to the section that has all of my various saved chats. So I've actually saved a few of them. So I have these various messages from Crash that I've saved. And what I can do now is I can treat this saved section almost like my to-do list, where I can come back to it at any time, and it reminds me that I had these certain items or tasks that I need to follow up on. And right here at the top, if I click on this, it'll bring me right back to that conversation with Crash. And as I complete each of those items one by one, if I just click on this ribbon, I can unsave them. I clear out my to-do list, and now I'm all set. So those are two little tips and tricks with message actions on how to not lose track on important items as you're kind of getting distracted by various incoming messages throughout Microsoft Teams. What we'll come back to a little bit later is how applications can really take message actions to the next level. Applications can build their own message actions that you can access in the same way, and we'll take a look at that a little bit later on. The second thing we're going to look at is cards. So right now I'm in a direct chat context where every message that gets sent, this one from Crash, the next one, they each kind of come in as their own independent block, their own independent entity. And if I were to say to Crash, hey, good morning, you can see this one also comes in as its own independent message. But let's jump over to Teams. In Teams, first off, things are structured a little bit differently. You can see we have this parent-child relationship where here I'm inside of the platform engineering team and I'm in a general channel. I can also switch over to an IT agents team that I'm a part of. In this case, I'm an agent with our IT team, and I'm also in the general channel. But in this case, whenever you're starting a conversation, notice there's this button here to start a conversation, not just simply send a message. And if I scroll up a little bit, in this case, things are sent as almost this more robust block, if you will. And this block is kind of the conversation starter, and then threaded underneath that block, other people can respond directly to that. So you can already start to notice that inside of Teams, you can kind of get those one-off messages that we saw between Crash and myself. But in certain cases, things might come in more like a card or like this block. We're going to take another look at these once we start looking how apps can take these cards to the next level. But I just wanted to point that out quickly. Be aware of that difference between an individual message and something that's more like this block or this conversation where things can get threaded underneath it. The last thing we're going to check out is full page apps. So if we come over to this left side here, you'll see there's a series of applications I can jump between. So right here, I have my calendar, and you can see all of a sudden we have this really awesome full page canvas where I can see my calendar. The calendar is essential to everyone's day-to-day. It helps you the first thing in the morning. You look at the calendar to figure out what your workday is going to look like, how distracted are you going to be, how much of your time is in meetings. You can plan accordingly when you need to get certain items knocked out, if you need to finish some task before a meeting. So calendar is something that you're looking at throughout the entire day. And it's awesome that inside of Microsoft Teams, I can access it right here. I can also sync this with my Outlook calendar or my Google calendar. So whichever native calendar you prefer, you can sync it directly into Microsoft Teams so that you can access all of this information without having to jump out to another app or opening up another web browser. Another awesome app we have is Files. Teams basically can function as this file sharing system for you, where you can keep track of all of your various assets, whether it's an image, a PNG, a PDF that you're sharing with different teammates across your Microsoft Teams experience. But a really interesting thing about files also is, let's jump back over to Teams into my platform engineering general channel. You'll notice that there's also a files tab up here. So now that I'm within the platform engineering team context and I access files, you can see there's one file here. It's called the new onboarding flow. The new onboarding flow is this one. I had uploaded this and shared this as a post to my colleagues, to my other teammates inside of this channel. And Teams is automatically saving that for me here. So I won't lose track of it. As more chats and messages start getting posted here, I can always quickly jump into files and access things that were shared specifically with the platform engineering team. And again, if I jump back to the main files app, these are all the files that I have access to, ones that have been shared with me or ones that I have shared. So you'll be able to see the new onboarding flow here as well. You can see that that one specifically lives within the platform engineering general channel context, but it's also aggregating all the other files that I have access to. So that's a really awesome, powerful feature, this file system that just comes out of the box natively within Teams. Another one that we can look at, if I go back to Teams here, is the wiki. I highly recommend anyone who is organizing a team inside of Microsoft Teams, you create a wiki for that team. Now, the wiki is basically, think of it almost like a Word document, but the way that I like to use it is I put all of our team's rules, our rituals, I'll outline them here. So any new teammates that are onboarding, they can quickly click over to our team wiki and understand how we do our work inside of this team. So this is the platform engineering team's wiki. I've added a post in here that explains how we do daily stand-ups. Every morning, the team kind of gets together and we understand, how's everyone feeling today? What'd you complete yesterday? What are you planning on working on? And the other thing about the wiki that's really powerful is this is a collaborative document. Anyone who's inside of the platform engineering team can access this wiki and edit it. So you can see here, I started working on a doc on how engineers can make a pull request for this team. I haven't had time to finish it yet, but anyone else on the team can jump in and start adding to the wiki. So we can collaborate and kind of build it out over time. And you can see if I jump back to posts, here was one of our team stand-ups. So they can understand where do I get this template from? You jump over to the wiki and boom, we have information for the next team lead on how they can lead a daily stand-up and post that card. So that's a quick look at some of the full page apps that ship natively inside of Microsoft Teams. So again, we're just setting up the understanding that Teams is more than just chat and video conferencing. It really is a way to build and bring in a lot of operational processes where you don't actually have to leave the context of Microsoft Teams. You can access all these great collaborative tools right here. All right, so now that we've taken an introductory look at these three features, message actions, cards, and full page apps, the next thing we're going to take a look at is how we can supercharge each of those with the introduction of new third-party applications. So the way we're going to do that is I've installed the Help app into my Microsoft Teams instance, and we're going to see how Help makes getting help as easy as asking for it. So to reintroduce Help, Help is a lightweight ticketing system that lives within Microsoft Teams. The way that ticketing works is a lot of teams, they might refer to it as service management or request management, but the fundamental premise is there are certain individuals throughout the day where they might need help from another team. So for example, maybe I've been locked out of a system. Maybe I need my password reset maybe my computer's broken, I need to request a new computer. In that case, I need to reach out to the IT team and I need to ask them for help. And the way that the IT team is able to provide this help is through a ticket management system. Because the IT team is getting bombarded with a lot of requests throughout the day, a lot of people that are seeking help, they need a good way to organize all of these items. So they typically want to formalize these requests for help into an object called a ticket, which can then be worked or assigned out to different agents throughout the day to provide help. So you usually have a help seeker and then the person providing the help, which might often be referred to as an agent. So we're going to take a look at the Help app inside of Microsoft Teams to see how we make getting help as easy as asking for it. All right, let's jump back into Microsoft Teams. And we're going to start back with Crash. So if we remember, Crash needed help accessing the printer. So in this case, what we had done previously is we tried marking it as unread, we tried saving this message, and those are great. Those are kind of quick tricks for me personally to make my life easier. But in this case, as a company grows and grows and grows, a lot of these types of requests come in and the IT team ultimately needs to help Crash out with this. And I might be busy for the day, but there's a whole team of IT agents realistically that could jump in and help Crash. So what I want to do in this case is I'm going to turn this message into a ticket that gets sent over to the IT team so anyone on the IT team can swarm that ticket and help Crash as quickly as possible. And the way I'm going to do this is with a message action. I'm going to click on the three dots, and if I scroll down here to more actions, you can see I have this additional message action that is powered by the Help application that I've installed. In this case, the action is called Create a Ticket in Help. That's exactly what I want to do. So I'm going to click on that. I can select which team I want this request to go to. In this case, I do want it to go to the IT agents team. I'll hit next. And you can see it's automatically pulled in that message from Crash. Hey, I need help accessing the printer. I'm going to go ahead and click Create Ticket. And if I switch over to Teams here, you'll see the IT agents team that I'm in is bolded. So that means something new has happened in there. There's a new message, there's a new post in there. And here it is. So here's that ticket now. You can see Crash's message, his originating message is here. Hey, I need help accessing the printer. You can see it was requested by Crash. So the app automatically learned who the requester was, what the requester was asking for. And another thing you might notice is this post might look a little different from the post we saw before. This is a card. And in this case, the card has these other quick actions baked directly inside of it. So as a developer, Microsoft makes this card component available to us so that we can provide others with these really powerful experiences inside of a Teams chat system. So what I can do directly from this card is I can reply to it from here. I can assign it to myself, which I'm going to do right now. And what you'll notice is this card just updated in real time. This one in particular is actually a component that Microsoft refers to as an adaptive card. It can adapt and update in real time as things are happening. So if Crash were to send more messages associated to this ticket, you would see that all update in real time. If I scroll up, like here's an example here where a new message came in and the card updated so that agents in this channel can see that, oh, Crash has sent some additional information. So this is a quick look at that card component to show you how powerful it really can be. Now, the last thing, let's look at full page apps and see how Help has designed a full page app to help agents inside of Microsoft Teams. To do that, I'm going to click on View Details here. And that's going to deep link me. You might notice it's jumped me directly over to the Help application. And in this case, the full page app, it gives me a list of all of the tickets that different teams and different agent teams are seeing come in on a day-to-day basis. So this one right here, this is the one that just came in from Crash. In this case, I had assigned it to myself, and I can click on it. I can see more details about it. I can change the status of it right here. I can reassign it. This is a really robust and rich experience that you would typically find in a complete standalone application on its own, or maybe in a web application. But in this case, we've actually ported all of that functionality directly inside of Microsoft Teams. So any agents that are now using Halp inside of Teams, they don't need to log into another system. They don't need to open up another tab in their web browser. Everything lives right here. And as I start working this ticket, what I can do is I can actually click on the link and it can take me right back to the adaptive card so I can continue working. So I hope that provides a better understanding of some of these key components that lives within inside of Microsoft Teams, how you can use them on a day-to-day basis, but also how apps can take advantage of each of those components and take them to the next level with custom message actions, custom use of cards and adaptive cards, and custom full page app experiences. All right, next up, we're going to check in with Daniel from Edge Next, and we're going to hear from him how Microsoft Teams and Halp has really helped them take their productivity to the next level. And then after that, we will return for some final Q&A. Hey, Daniel, how's it going? Happy New Year.
It's going very fine. Not so bad. It's a new year, new challenge, and ready to get things on moving. Yourself?
Yeah, everything's been good. We're off to a fast start, and another year of working from home, but it's been good, especially with tools like Teams and Halp. It definitely has made it easier. And I believe, how long has your team been using Halp for? When we first met, you were pretty new to the company and you were just starting to roll out Halp. Is that correct?
Exactly. Yes. So what happened was I joined as a DevOps engineer for EdgeNext, and they were a team of, when I joined, we were just about 15 or so. And they just put me to be in charge of their platform. And so I was trying to see ways to better the whole platform as a whole, but then the communication of incidents on the platform. Because what we do is we monitor sustainable buildings. So we put sensors into buildings and can get the data out of the building. But then this data you're getting might be faulty, maybe a sensor is broken. So we can see all of that on Azure on our platform. But when something breaks down, okay, then who's responsible for what? What's the process like? Who takes it? Are two people working on something? So there was no structure to it. So when I joined the company, I was like, okay, let's put in something in place, and I want that thing to be not a robust like a ServiceNow or like a Zendesk or something, just something very simple to track issues on the platform. And it'll be very great if it's within Teams, because we're having a lot of apps and other software as well. We don't want to have another app, another software. So if something that can be integrated within Teams, that'll be perfect for us. So I did a lot of research, and I came across this term, which I still find very interesting. I think you guys should patent it, conversational ticketing system. So, and that phrase stuck with me since I saw it, and I was like, okay, this is really good. I went to the product manager. I was like, I have this app here. I think we can start with a free trial and see how it works within the team. And she's like, well, I put you, that's why we employed you. So you're free to make the decision yourself. I was like, okay, I'll go forward with it. And since then, the team has been loving it. We know who's working on what tickets. You can customize different forms, different queues and stuff like that. So it's been really, really great working with Halp.
Also, you mentioned it was important to you to find a tool that could actually work from inside of Teams. Why is that part of it so important?
First of all, it felt like a plug and play or an integrated system. So we already use Teams for meetings. We use Teams for general chats, for even some documentation as well. We have on based in Teams. So it's already the app. And within Teams, there are also sort of like other integrations you could use for ticketing, but it didn't have the dynamic feel. It felt like an Excel sheet. I didn't want an Excel sheet, but I didn't want a service now. So I wanted to find the balance of that in between sweet spot of like, okay, it's not too big, but fits the company we're in. I think currently we're about 25 now or 30 or so, and it fits. And we reached about 15 developers, and it fits what we're doing. So that was very, very important for us. What sort of made it cool again is the fact that I said we already use Teams, so giving access and things like that all still works within Teams, within channels and stuff like that. So that was part of the whole experience that still kept Teams and Hub sort of together, and the integration was very, very, very well fitting.
Nice. What would happen if magically tomorrow, all of a sudden, Teams and Help disappeared? What what would kind of happen to your team and your processes? How do you think you'd get by?
At this moment, I don't think that would be good. It might not be the end of the world, but it might be close to it, you can say, because we also use this to report to our own customers to say, hey, this is what we're noticing from, as I said, we deal with sensors. So we can prove to them that, hey, because we have created, the way I created like our ticket forms and stuff like that, you can filter by device creator, by telemetry. So we can say, hey, we're getting, we can prove to them and say we've been getting issues about the temperature sensors that have been faulty for between July and March. And we can show that to them because you can export the tickets as an Excel sheet as well to customers as well to have a nice reporting system. So if that's gone, I would not have anything to back myself when I'm talking to vendors and trying to come up with SLA agreements and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it helps me have a good overview of my own platform. And when I'm talking to customers and developers and stuff like that, I can be able to have a backlog and say, hey, oh, I think we fixed this back in March. I can just filter by the building name, the sensors, and the whole tickets, and how it was resolved also comes into play. So it's like a whole full, it's all part of the DevOps story, because we use this for monitoring, and then you can use for reporting, and then you can also then use this to help with your documentation, which then goes back to the whole flow of building stuff again. So it helps a whole continuous integration, continuous deployment flow as well.
Nice, that's awesome. Do you have there been a lot of new team members who have joined recently since you joined? I'm curious if most people that join, if they're already familiar with Teams in general, or if they're kind of new to the platform and what it's like to kind of get them trained up on it.
Um, so we've not had new engineers or developers join for a while. I think last employee was joined in August, but we have more top level persons, so like a team assistant, and we had a new CEO, for example. So I gave them access, but what I've been doing, because it's a paid subscription, so the more users you have, the more you pay. So I usually do one swap, one out sometimes if I notice that maybe this developer hasn't been used this account or it sits for like a month or so, I can then swap in with someone else who's been getting more work to work in. But I found that it was very easy to use. And with the way it works, where from anywhere, as I said, from anywhere within the Teams page, you can just click the icon and then the form needed to create a ticket comes up. So it's a fairly easy user interface to use.
Nice. Some questions outside of Help, just for Microsoft Teams as a platform. Do you have any kind of tips or tricks, little features that you take advantage of throughout the day that would be helpful for others to learn, like little productivity hacks?
Uh, I'll say the bots. There's the hack bot, and it's very, for some reason I think some people did not have theirs activated or something, or it was smoothed. So the hack bot really helps me even when I miss something, because I usually also like to snooze. During the day, maybe I want to focus on something, so I snooze most of my notifications. But then when I come to Hap itself, then I can go to the Hap bot and I can see, okay, this ticket has been updated by this person. This person already replied. So that's what I need to do. I can snooze the notifications when I want to focus on something or I have meetings, then I can go back in and see that the help is updated, my tickets, and yeah, that's one way. Um,
Tell me a little about the snoozing. Like a lot of times I'll go in if I want to remember a message, I'll either mark it as unread or maybe I'll save it for later. How do you
yeah.
do the snoozing? You're about to go into a meeting, you want to silence things. How do you do that?
Also, the I have it pinned, so I have it pinned to my chat, so
Okay.
you can pin it, and it's at the top. So you can either just from here unmute, or you can block it as well. So what I do is I unmute the conversation, or I mute it, and then when I'm done with my meetings and stuff like that, I then unmute, and then I can go see all the tickets that have been updated, and the messages continue to flow in again.
Yeah, it's a good little tip. You get busy throughout the day and it's like pause everything and then you can come back
Right,
to it and pick up where you left off.
exactly.
Any other kind of tips or tricks that you like to take advantage of in the Teams platform?
Um, Also, probably, let's say, um, just for in general, just with teams, so not
Yeah.
direct. Okay, yeah, just I mean the fact that you can create chat. So there are certain people when there's something to resolve, I end up calling them multiple times. So I just end up creating a chat room or a channel with them, and then we call that monitoring. So when we find out, oh, we've been meeting almost every day, twice a day. Okay, why not just create a group together, call it monitoring, and then we did it. So between three of us, I say, hey, did you check this building today? There seems to be no data coming in, and then you do that without having to disturb the whole team as a whole, because the three of us sort of focus mainly on the monitoring part of the building that we're concerned about. So just creating the fact that you can create a small chat room with small page without having to disturb the whole
Right.
organization. That's also very, very important as well. So they do not know. I don't think they even know that that small little group exists. But yeah, pretty interesting as well.
And how do you make that? Do you make that as like a group DM channel, or is it you actually create a team, or you create a new channel under an
No,
existing
so yes,
team?
so we did this like 2 days ago actually. So and we were asking how should we do it. So we didn't want to create another channel again because then it's just multiple channels. So we created like we had a call together, and then from there, from the call, you can then rename sort of the call of the people within the call, and then call it.
Yeah,
And then yeah, so I just changed the name and called it a monitoring team. Um,
nice.
we're not an official monitoring team. It's just because we are the ones doing the monitoring of the platform. So often we're like, okay, well, let's just put ourselves in this group and not have to stop the whole development team and operations team with our own mess. So let's just keep our mess to ourselves and let them know, let them do what they're doing. So yeah, that was pretty much it.
Nice. So because the after the call, any notes that happen during the call, they kind of get automatically set up
Yeah,
as a group chat, and then
yeah,
you just
yeah,
take over that chat
yeah,
afterwards and keep it living
exactly.
as kind of
Exactly,
a teamwork.
exactly, exactly. It's the fact, yeah, the fact that you can keep a sort of dead chat. So what was even funny was we didn't know that we've actually had that chat existing. So as I
Yeah.
was trying to create one, I then saw like the first chat when I joined the company, like literally the day it was the same two guys. Like, oh, we actually have a chat there with the two of us. So I just renamed it
Yeah.
to my name. And yeah, that was it. Was pretty interesting.
Yeah. I think that's an interesting thing that we're all starting to kind of learn with the remote working culture,
Yeah,
where you don't always know ahead of time that something's going to be a recurring problem. So you might have
mhm,
like a quick one-off chat, and then
yeah,
all of a sudden, later, maybe a month down the road, that group has this kind of recurring theme that you need to always
exactly,
collaborate on. And
exactly.
that's some of the beauty of the platform is it makes that seamless because you have the records of all the work, and if
Mhm,
it needs to become recurring in the future, you kind of already have that established.
definitely, definitely. Yeah.
Cool. Anything else? Anything else you want to add around teams, kind of pro tips for teams or help?
Uh, I mean, last week we did have a sort of hackathon within our own company. There were a lot of great features that were implemented within the hackathon. So we had like different groups, and each group you could contact. Like it was set up by our head of engineering, but he had some features that were implemented that I didn't even know you could do. You could you could request to talk to someone from a different group, and you had to pay a certain coin. It was very interesting how like all the features you could make within, or you could set up within the channel itself. So I do not know how he probably like did some research myself. I can probably figure out how he did it. But yeah, so that was an interesting one to me, even though I don't know the specifics of how that was sort of customized, you can say.
Yeah.
Um,
Was he using like a third party app, or did he build his
yeah,
own
yeah,
app and
yeah,
kind of side load it in?
yeah. Like I think it was probably a third party app that he integrated with that. Yeah. Um, I'm just trying to think. Okay, I also like I think the fact that obviously the privacy uh, restrictions you can have on each channel and teams as well were very, very helpful, because last year we got ISO certified, and I was in charge of that with one other person, and we obviously developed high level documents that were there, um, inventories, invoices, paperwork, change management, all this kind of stuff. And we had an auditor coming to verify that our platform is ISO 2000 to 27001 or so certified. And we were able to demonstrate to him as well that even within teams, we have these different channels that not everyone has access to. And there's a way to get access to this kind of channels, and documents is restricted. And then sort of we use Teams in a way to show to him that we're ISO certified. So you said the documents that are in the restricted file are C, so they're confidential. The ones outside of, even if it's in the same Teams channel, you can have sub channels. So the ones outside of the Teams channel, they're for the public, you can give it to marketing, but the ones that have a restriction on them or padlock on them, those are confidential documents. So we're able to use Teams in a way as a form of certified, Teams restrictions as a form of certified way to prove that we're keeping our information secure. And he found that very interesting. And we got ISO certified. So if the ISO body, someone from the ISO body feels that the way we protect our documents within Teams by having them like this is safe enough, then I think that's also a very big feature as well from Teams.
Nice, that's awesome. Yeah, earlier on we were looking at the file sharing app inside of Teams and how you can locate different files and they kind of stay within the context of if you shared it in this team or if it's a personal file. And as you mentioned, there's a lot of really powerful controls where you can make a team private, or you could have a public team and then specific channels under that team is private, or
Yeah.
certain direct messages or group chats can be private. And it's not only for the chat, but then if you're sharing files, PDFs, documents through it, they retain those privacy policies.
Exactly. Exactly.
Nice, that's awesome. Awesome. Well, Daniel, thank you so much for the time. I always love hearing your story about how you all have adopted Teams, how you've adopted help, and as you continue to grow your processes, where you're finding those new efficiencies just to make work life easier. So thank you again for sharing your story with us.
Yeah, thank you. And looking forward to more exciting features from you guys. Definitely hopefully I can get some beta testing privileges as I did
Definitely.
earlier. And I would love that. As I said, it's a really, really great platform. I don't think there's no reason for us to move anytime coming soon. And yeah, it's all made sort of in a way. Another way actually it's helped us is that we're now able to implement our work from anywhere policy. So we don't even have a hybrid policy. We have a work from anywhere policy
Oh,
because
wow.
we do believe that Teams and HireUp and all of that helps create this ecosystem where you can work from anywhere without without feeling the need or without feeling the need to go to a physical office and still be productive. So that's the main key. If productivity doesn't drop and you have a good work-life balance, why not work from anywhere? And our company is we actually introduced that policy last week.
Oh wow.
And
So when we first met, you all had taken on a hybrid policy. And
yes,
now with Teams and with Help and with other tools, you're able to collect enough of the data to prove that your efficiencies are still there, that the company
exactly,
has now decided to support a full remote work
exactly,
style. That's
exactly,
awesome.
exactly. So yeah,
Very
really,
cool.
really looking forward to more features that could help increase its productivity from you guys. And yeah, always loving chatting to you.
Awesome. But yeah, thank you so much, Daniel, and have a great day.
Yeah. Well,
Hey, welcome back, everyone. It was really awesome to learn from Daniel how their team has just really gotten a lot of productivity boosts between Microsoft Teams and the Help application. So, what I would love to do next is open up the floor up to you all and understand, are there any questions that you'd like to dive into? Any tips that you'd like to learn more about? So, any questions? Fire away.